Hey, what's going on, all my nerds and collectors alike? We are back again, taking a look at the new Marvel Legends Spider-Man 60th Anniversary Wave, Iron Spider. And as you can see here, I am kind of cheating with the Hasbro base stand here, just to kind of get that iconic cover pose for Spider-Man with Captain America's shield. But we will go ahead and pull him off of that and get these things aside here real quick. And we will bring the box in. Now these are now the windowless packaging boxes. So essentially you are getting blind bags from Hasbro now. Fantastic. I've already seen several pictures of these things popping up in Target with, you know, cut tape or damaged boxes or people opening them up, and there's been figure swaps or sculpts are incorrect, paint is everywhere. It's a real big problem. I understand where they're going with this, but I personally am on the side that does not like this new style of packaging. I think it was a good idea. I think that where they're coming from with trying to be more environmentally friendly with their packaging was, let's say, a nice gesture in heart, but in execution, this was never going to work, and personally, I do not like it. But taking a closer look in here, you do get a digital render of the figure on the package, so we don't even get real pictures of the action figures anymore. So if you're a Mint-On card collector, I am really sorry for what's been going on for you guys. I know that this is probably the end of collecting for the Marvel Legends line for a lot of you Mint-On card guys out there, but I like to tear open my action figures and throw away the garbage between me and my toys, as Foosh Robo would say, so this doesn't, you know, as at least a presentation-wise, doesn't affect me too much. I just don't like the fact that you can't see what you're getting anymore, so you can't check for quality issues or anything like that, which we'll get into. But you do have the digital render. You do have Spider-Man on the top. You have that Spider-Man 60 Amazing Years logo up there. And then you actually do have right there a half portrait of Spider-Man up at the top corner. On the package's left side, you get another just up and down digital render of the Iron Spider. On the right, you actually do get a nice comic image of the Iron Spider in action, so that's pretty good. On the back, another digital render of what this action figure could possibly look like, with all of your warnings, legalese, all the fun stuff, barcodes. You only get an extra pair of flipping hands with this, so that's another thing that we will go over. But there's the packaging out of the way. So getting out of here, first off, I know the biggest question on a lot of people's minds is, can this figure stand on his Waldos? And with time and patience, you actually can get him standing on his own on the Waldos. However, you will not get it thin enough to sit on the shield like some of you may be wanting. I think it might have been D-Amazing that I saw who made a post where he did actually manage to get this figure on a shield. I know that some people are using that Toy Biz Anniversary Captain America that has the shield with the peg holes in it for accessories and kind of effect pieces. They're using that to kind of stick on there. So there's different ways to kind of cheat around it. Like you saw, I was using the Hasbro base at the beginning of this with the shield just in the middle, which kind of gave it a decent effect. So you can actually get him on his Waldos, just takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. It's a very large balancing game, but we will go ahead and get this guy straightened out here. And for the purpose of this review, I'm actually going to remove these Waldos, just because they kind of do get in the way. So we will set those aside and get to those in the accessories segment here. So getting a little bit closer here and kind of getting him straightened out. Right off the bat, especially with my lighting around, this figure actually does look quite impressive in the light, but we will get to that in a moment. He does have a very nice cherry, like glossy red, kind of candy apple-ish red paint. The gold, the color they used is pretty spot on, pretty accurate, and as you can tell when light reflects off of this, it does look very, very nice. Getting in closer here, let me get the light on for you guys. So there we go, got that light on, getting a closer look in here on some details. First things first, as you may already be able to see, I do have a paint imperfection on the spider symbol, and you can notice that there is that weird gold dot right there. We'll get into that in just a moment, but the gold does look pretty good. I do have some off-colored splotches that you can sort of make out right here. Let me see if it'll focus for you. Come on. Come on. Always fighting with the camera. You can kind of see it's off a little bit to the actual eye off of the camera. That is much more noticeable of a gold paint difference there, which I have no idea why that is. On the back of the figure, you do have the spider symbol kind of wrapping around on his arms, and as you can see on this side, looks perfectly fine, right? On that side, in the butterfly joint, that lines up, everything's good. They gave me 2 of the right side butterfly joints. This is the exact same butterfly joint as this side, flipped over. So they did not give me the proper left side butterfly joint, and I also have that pretty ugly paint blemish there of them just not covering the red correctly, on top of having the paint on the shoulder being splotchy and incorrect. And now, normally, things like these I would kind of forgive, but let's all be completely real for just 1 second, please. This figure from Dorkside Toys was $43. $43 shipped to have this figure come to my house. And all you get is an extra set of hands, some unpainted Waldos, which, frankly, I'm pretty sure in D Amazing's review video had more articulation than they do. I'll get to that in a minute. With the wrong butterfly joint and paint defects in blind bags from Hasbro that people can easily break into and replace or do whatever they want with, and you can't even see what you get until you get it, and most online retailers will not take these back if it's minor paint imperfections or small defects like that, because they only want to take them back if the figure's been damaged on their part. These are factory defects that we're getting. So I don't know if quality control with Hasbro has just taken a major dip since we're getting these blind bags now and they think that that's just okay, or what's going on here, but the fact of the matter is that things are not getting cheaper. As I said, this was a $43 action figure, and this is what we're getting. Prices are increasing across the board anyway, and then this guy is part of the anniversary line, so you get that extra $5 tax because why not? And you're still getting blind bags and imperfections with action figures that are well beyond what we should be paying for them. That's unacceptable. That's ridiculous. Hasbro, I hope you're listening, because this needs to change. Period. Rant over. Moving on. Getting into articulation. His head actually is on that old disc joint. And you do get a little bit of ball joint tiltage on there, but nothing like with the dumbbell joints in the necks, which for Spider-Man characters, honestly, I kind of prefer the disc joint, just because, you know, you don't get that ugly gape and you still get them to look all the way up. If they, you know, figure out how to do a dumbbell joint like the Star Wars team has, or, you know, imports have been doing for however many years now, and they get on the ball with that, that'd also be great, but, you know. So you do have that disc joint. He can look down that far, so he is burying his chin, which is always good. You can have him looking all the way up without a problem. Of course, being on a ball joint, you do get your rotation and a little bit of tilt and all of that good junk there. Butterfly joints, well, first his shoulder goes up past 90, and that is due to the nice cut there. You do have 360 rotation, butterfly joints, forward, that's it, that's all you're getting. You've got the cut for it, but that's it. Back, once again, you've got the cut for it, but that's all you're getting. So basically that joint doesn't exist. Just, you know, to humor anybody out there, just in case they're like, well, you've got the wrong side joint on that side, so maybe it's better on the other side. No. No, it's the same. You get the exact same range on both sides, even with the defective joint that, you know, shouldn't even be there. Makes sense. Anyway, bicep rotation. You do have nice pinless double jointed elbows, and those do work very well. He can get that arm all the way up. His wrists, both sets, are on a swivel, and they are on a horizontal joint. So that's pretty cool. Ab crunch, actually pretty good. As you saw, I had him crunched almost 90 degrees, so that way his Waldos could support his weight. So you do get a very nice ab crunch, and luckily we don't have at least the back shelf that the Multiverse of Madness Doctor Strange had, so there's that. And then even with the Waldo backpack on, that actually doesn't hinder anything, so you get that far back. Would have been really nice if we got the vintage body style of the diaphragm joint with the upside down ab crunch. That would have been a nice touch, but you do have your waist rotation. Your hips are on the standard T-joints, so you can kick forward 90 degrees. Can kick back, like, I don't know. I won't even try to label that because I'll probably be wrong. You do have thigh rotation all the way around. Pinless double jointed knees. And as Foosh Robo would say, he can actually kick his own back, not even his own ass, so that's a plus. You do have boot rotation, which is very handy. And of course, you have your ankles that can go that far up. They go that far back. And what would a Marvel Legends figure be without your ankle pivot? I'm going to set this guy right here and get into his accessories. As you can see, I actually already have one of each hand on. But once again, all you get is an extra pair of thwipping hands. So he has one set of fists and one set of thwips. These are in the same red gloss that the rest of the figure is in, although the fact that, once again, this is already being priced as a deluxe figure. The base price for this figure was $30. So not even like the $25 to $28 range for standardized figures. You're already paying $30 off rip for this. Plus, you know, with extra tax and shipping and everything else, this is a $40 action figure that doesn't come with wall-crawling hands or jet booster effects for when he discovered that his suit had boosters, or an alternate head sculpt, or, you know, any other nice things. No web effects, nothing really. Going ahead and getting into the Waldos here. I remember D-Amazing's video, I'm pretty sure there was actually a joint here. So these Waldos only have 3 joints in them. And they're thick enough to have the others. You could place the other joints in here, but all you get is one joint at the base. Now, keep in mind, each of these do have rotation because they're all on that same kind of wrist joint peg. So these all do have rotation and a hinge. So at the base of the Waldo there, you would have your rotation and a hinge. Nothing at the second joint that is also permanently at a 90-degree angle. So that's all you're getting from that. Third joint down, you get your bend there, as well as your rotation. And it's fairly hindered inside of there because, obviously, you have those walls that it's crashing into. Middle joint, absolutely nothing. just as thick as the other joints here, and definitely should have a joint, especially at the price point that we are paying for this now. This is getting close to import range prices, people. Just keep that in mind. We're getting close to import range prices with this. For $20 more, you could go get an SH Figuarts. That's all I gotta say. No joint in the middle of the Waldo. And then you have one down here at the bottom, right at the claw, with that same style joint as the one there. Now, as I said, these are completely unpainted. These are just cast in a, like, brownish gold plastic. Doesn't even match the gold of the suit, which it should, because that's what these were. So, that's another disappointment. I know a couple people do want to see some head swaps, so can swap off the head pretty easily. Here we have that Peter Parker head from the Peter Parker and Mary Jane 2-pack. And if you've seen The Amazings video, which is a fantastic review, that guy inspires the hell out of me. He's doing some great work over there. And he will probably always be a better reviewer than I am, but I can only hope to one day get up to his standard. You do, in fact, have your Peter Parker head on there, and I can pretty much guarantee that I currently do not have that Spider-Man and Spinneret 2-pack. I have mine pre-ordered from Hasbro Pulse, which is dated for, you know, December, when everybody else is finding theirs in Target stores and all of that. I've been picking up packs here and there when I can from Amazon, so I do have the Silk and Dr. Octopus 2-pack coming, I have the Ned and Peter Parker 2-pack coming, the Venom and Null 2-pack coming, so I do have more reviews coming for you guys. It's just taking a lot more time to actually acquire things than I thought it was going to be. Shipping times and dates and everything are getting shifted around, and it's been an interesting time, so we'll see what's happening on there, but you do have that Peter Parker head on there, and that does look actually pretty good, so you can get him into those scenes where, you know, Tony kind of suckered him into revealing his identity for the registration, or if he's kind of hanging around the base or doing whatever, you can have your Peter Parker with his helmet off, and you actually can also, clearly you can use that head, hold that as the helmet if you wanted to do that. So those are things that you can do if you want to do them. We do also have, one moment, the bearded Peter Parker head from when he was the Cosmic Spider-Man. So we will see if this will fit on here. This is actually has always, for me, been a tighter peg, so I'm hoping I don't shear the neck off trying to do this. But if you wanted to do that, you can also have your bearded Parker on there, so that also works. Or if you want to call this a Kane Parker head before he was zombified or whatever actually really happened to him. I have to admit I did not read the Clone Saga too much, even though those characters do fascinate me. So at one of these days I might have to go back and try to pick up a couple of those books and take a read. But getting that off, we'll go ahead and put the Iron Spider head back on. And for our first comparison, we will go ahead and humor the audience here. We'll put the Waldos back in because we are going to compare him with the MCU version of the Iron Spider, which does have the 4 Waldos, which always kind of seem to make more sense to me. I'm not exactly sure why they chose 3 in the comics, but that is the look that they went for. And hey, we're currently buying action figures of it, so we had to have liked it, right? But go ahead and get these up so he can stand with them on. Have him ready. And here is the MCU version of the Iron Spider. So this version of the MCU Peter Parker has always been pretty small in comparison with a lot of our comic figures and a lot of the other characters in the MCU, because Tom Holland is kind of a shorter guy. But there you have the comparison of the 2 Iron Spiders. It actually would have been pretty cool if we got to see something more along the lines of this in the MCU for this design, but they went with something different, and, you know, couple of years later. We've all accepted that. I guess we'll go ahead and keep the Waldos in for these comparisons, just because I'm kind of too lazy to take them out. Here we have him next to Venom, because we do have a couple of really nice Venoms coming along the way. And we all know that Tony Stark did conscript some villains to help him police after the incident with Captain America. There he is with another kind of street-level crime boss with Hammerhead, just to kind of see how those guys compare with each other. Taking these away. Here we have him with Mary Jane and J. Jonah Jameson. So that's how those are all kind of stacking up together. And we know JJ was going to have a field day when he found out that Spider-Man was Peter Parker. And speaking of Peter Parker, here we have your Iron Spider armor with the civilian-bodied Peter Parker and with another armored Spider-Man. So pretty much universal height kind of across the board there, so that's pretty cool. Hasbro's at least keeping it consistent with the scale. We'll have him with a couple extras here. We'll do the sensational Spider-Man, Ben Reilly. And we will do Spider-Man from the near future when he is the owner of Parker Industries. So that's how he's comparing with the Pizza Spider-Man buck, as well as the Retro Spider-Man buck. Now, interestingly enough, I'll go ahead and get the other two in here. So here he is with the Retro Spider-Man, as well as the Black Costume Spider-Man. Just to kind of see the rogues gallery of Iron Spider versus the retro-bodied characters here. For some reason, this Spider-Man is thinner and a little bit shorter than the Pizza Spider-Man buck. And this was brand new, so they had the option to make him fit in this style. And all of the Spider-Mans we're getting from now on are going to be on this buck, even with hopefully like the updated toe joints and the pinless technology and everything like we saw in the Spinneret 2-pack. Hell, I'd even buy another Black Costume Spider-Man if they wanted to slap that on that body too, because I'm kind of a sucker for this guy, as I know a lot of people are, especially Just J. Hernandez. He's also another really good reviewer out there. If anybody knows about him, they know that he loves his Black Costume Spider-Man. And just like he said, slap that on the new Spinneret and Spider-Man 2-pack body, I'll buy it again. But yeah, for some reason, even though this is a brand new sculpt, they decided that why would he have to be in the same scale as figures we've already made? That makes no sense. Go ahead and make him smaller and shorter. Cool. Alright. And just to round off our comparisons here, I know this is not a comic Captain America, but I actually don't own a comic book Captain America, and this is my most recent comic book Iron Man pickup. So that's Peter compared to the two warring heads of the factions in Civil War. So that's how he's stacking up against the couple of people he worked with in there. Overall, I know I sound pretty negative in this review, and honestly, I do like the figure. It's just these quality control problems and the blind bags and all of these issues that are coming up with these new figures, especially with the prices increasing. In my opinion, it's just unacceptable. And I'm not going to put on a happy face and act like everything's okay about it. So, once again, guys, I apologize for a negative review. Don't spend your money on this. We need to start showing Hasbro that things like this, we're not going to let slide anymore. So I wouldn't spend your money on it if you can catch it on sale or something here in a month or two. It is a really nice figure. They definitely could have done better with it. But if you can find this guy for $25 shipped, or maybe even $30 if you're really, really wanting the new Iron Spider, like $30 shipped, something like that. Or if you can find them in stores, you know, in stores a little bit cheaper because you don't have to have shipping prices and stuff like that. But wherever your, you know, your taxes and everything calculated in. If you can get them for $30 or under, I'd say maybe. Even then, you're still only getting an extra pair of hands and Waldos that should have been way better for what we got. But you guys do you. I know that some of you out there will still buy it regardless, and that is perfectly fine. This is my opinion completely, and if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. If you want to talk about it, go ahead and leave a comment. I'm happy to discuss with you guys. But, yeah, I guess ending thoughts here are just, if you can find him on sale, I'd pick him up. He's still decent, but for the price point that we're paying for these things right now, just not worth it. Be safe, everybody. Happy collecting.